where it kind of ranks in terms of like the best conferences that we've seen ever in a college basketball season. I'm going to throw some stats here at you guys because this is how ridiculous it is. Right now, the league as a whole has a record of 144-20. They are 17-8 against AP top 25 opponents, which according to Brett Edgerton, who is a researcher for ESPN, is the best of any league ever through 25 games. They are 55-17 against other major conference opponents, and they are 42-6. Guys, 42-6 combined against teams in the ACC and the Big 12. And here's the craziest part. Field of 68, right? Talks about the 68 teams in the NCAA tournament. That's what that reference is for. All 16 teams in the SEC are ranked in the top 68 of KenPom. That's crazy. That is crazy to think about. Every single game that you play in the SEC season, if it started today, would be a quad one game. Every single team in the SEC is going to be playing. If you're on the road, you're going to be playing a quad one opponent in those games. It's crazy when you think about how good and how deep and how balanced. Tio, you did the math on this the other day. They have one bad loss. South Carolina lost to North Florida on the opening day of the regular season. That's the only bad loss that the league has.
That's the only one I can find. And now I did that last week, so I don't think they lost a big game. I really don't.
I don't think they lost yesterday at all.
I don't think they lost a game, and it was finals week, so they didn't play during the mid part of this. Okay, so SMU beat LSU. SMU is going to be the top 5 of the ACC. I wouldn't consider that a bad loss, would you? Wasn't it in Dallas? So I wouldn't consider that a bad loss.
Would you argue any ACC loss is a bad loss?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, probably, but not SMU. Not SMU. I think Duke, Clemson, SMU, maybe one or two more. Those aren't going to be bad losses. Outside of that, like it's chock full of bad losses. But we're not talking ACC. Why would you do that to me, CJ? I don't understand. You think you can just say whatever you want after you steal Tyler Hansborough's headset, and then you come at me. Then you come at me sideways. So that's where we're going to start. As far as best conferences of all time, what's the barometer here? Because obviously I think, the Big East had a run 10, 11, 12 where like it was just ridiculous. Year in, year out. There was a crazy stat. I think they had 12 or 11 teams that made the NCAA tournament.
It was
SEC's very much in
not to cut you off, Tio. It was 2009. They had 11 teams make the tournament, and they had 3 1 seeds.
Yeah, so I mean that's obviously a great one. Do we see 3 1 seeds with the SEC this year? Could happen. That's the crazy part. Could happen.
Maybe.
Yeah, they would have to beat that. In my mind, they have to beat that year. That's the year that they have to beat.
CJ.
Well, I got 2 things for you. One, for my top 25 tomorrow, I try to come up with some creative for every team, and I was looking at Auburn. And I noticed in KenPom, they're plus 35 in efficiency margin. So KenPom's got the trusty little tool where you can look up where is each team on this day, any season, right? So I looked up December 15th of every year going back to 2011-12 is the first year you can do that. So of the last, 13 seasons, the plus 35 is better than any other team in the database at this point in time. And it's not even close. I think the next best one is like maybe plus 32 or something. This is better than 2012 Kentucky. This is better than 15 Kentucky. This is a super, super dominant team to date. Now, if you go back through that, the number one team in those years does not always win the national championship. But what separates this year is not just is Auburn above 30 is like, holy crap, that's an elite team. Because a lot of times this time of year, plus 29 or so is the best team. Auburn is at plus 35, but also Tennessee's above 30, and so is Duke. So any other year, like Tennessee or Duke would probably be number one. But Auburn is just obviously taking it to another level. But the one pushback I would have on is this the greatest league of all time is while I do think the COVID year has helped college basketball have better teams at the top. I do think that NIL has made more guys return to college and has probably bumped the talent level. But I will push back and say, guys, like early 90s, late 80s, that was like the heyday of college basketball. The top teams then were just better. So that would be my only pushback. Like, I don't think the teams now are quite at the level of like they were before. Dudes were just taking off. The best dudes were taking off early. And, back in those days, guys would get to their juniors and senior years. So as far as the quality of teams, maybe not, but just the sheer dominance over the sport of one league, yeah, then maybe you can make that argument.
Yeah, I think when you talk relative to what the
so you're saying Ralph Sampson wouldn't have stayed all 4 years at Virginia in today's age? Is that what you're saying?
Probably not.
Okay.
Depends on NIL.
In layman's terms, like not a lot of people are like now. Not a lot of people stay around. Like I understand what you're saying, and that's a great point. But like Patrick Ewing would have been gone after 1 year. Like you know what I'm saying? Like these super duper dominant teams, to put it in another way of saying that.
Yeah. So let's
three
talk
number one
about
seeds.
Auburn.
3 number ones is insane though. Mm-hmm. That's an insane.
They can get there.
It could.
So here's why they can get there, guys. Like Auburn and Tennessee, I think are fairly clearly the 2 best teams in college basketball as of today. Whether that's going to be the fact, the true, in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and once Duke kind of really finds their footing, is something that we could probably argue about for a while. But as of today, I think those are the 2 best teams in college basketball. And I think that they're on track for 1 seeds. And there are so many quality wins available in the SEC. Like I said, every road opponent that you play is going to be a quad 1 opportunity. And there's going to, like, Kentucky can go out and just stack wins. And they've already beaten Duke. And they've already beaten Gonzaga. And now they've beaten Louisville, right? You have opportunities like Alabama's played this ridiculous schedule and has a whole bunch of good wins already. Florida's sitting here undefeated still, and just kind of no one's really paying attention to them, but they're sitting there number 7 on KenPom. They're number 8.
Why are we not paying attention to Florida? Like, what's going on?
Because they haven't. I have, but they haven't really beat anybody yet. But I think they're pretty damn good. But you sit here, you could say who could actually be 1 seeds? I would say at least 5 teams in the SEC, because the 2 you talked about, Florida, Bama, and I'm missing somebody. Oh, Kentucky. Those 5 right here today could conceivably be 1 seeds. And you know what? Like even Texas A&M, their resume is pretty dang good as far as when you look at quality of wins. They've got at least 1 stinker on there with the Central Florida loss, but I mean, I don't think they're like 1C caliber, but they've got some sneaky good non-conference wins. They, who knows? They could even sneak up there.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you guys this: Auburn or Tennessee, and why? I'll go to you first, T.O., and then CJ, you play off him.
You know what? Last week I picked Tennessee, and I'm still going there, and here's why: because you go and win at Illinois. Now, Illinois has a lot of younger players. I understand all that, but you still have to go up to Champaign and win and send Trevor Valise home crying to his mother. That's number 1. They did that. They win favors with me. Number 2, they're doing so with like a lot of injuries, and they just kind of keep whittling you down. It's somebody different every single time. And then, in a day where they needed Jordan Gainey to be really good, he stepped up. He's like the 3rd, maybe 4th option on the floor at a given time. They have so many different guys, and they defend at such a high level. I love Auburn, and I understand why they're ranked so high, because they're actually absolutely beating the brakes off of teams right now. But if we're going in a head-to-head matchup, if it's in Knoxville, I'm going Tennessee. If it's in Auburn, damn it, it's a toss-up, because I think both of them are really good.
The question's got to be, what on a neutral floor, who you picking?
Tennessee.